made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 294 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
Today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Brad Barez, and if you want to hear the real chiropractic dream, adjusting professional athletes, stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Dr. Brad Barez coming in from Hermosa Beach, and Luke and I are coming in from our respective places. He's out there in Michigan. I'm out here in Colorado, and this is episode 294. And just before we get this party started, the way that we do business over here is we protect free speech in the chiropractic profession and support subluxation-based chiropractors, innate intelligence, and we do protect the sacred trust with our mission. So with that being said, Dr. Brad, welcome to our show.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm definitely honored.
Yeah, you know, to us, it's how can we build this beautiful tapestry of the chiropractic message, and how can we bring all of us together to understand why chiropractors do what they do? And it's such a beautiful story. And I think a lot of times it goes deaf on the chiropractor because they're in the minutia and in the busy work all the time, that maybe they don't get to tell their stories nearly as much as they would like to, or they have in the past. And I know with 27 years of practice under your belt, I'm sure you have a really cool story about where you started and where you are today. So if you could, with our audience today, please share your chiropractic story.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I grew up in a family who were treating patients. My mom was one of the first physical therapists on the planet. Her license was number 49. And so I would sit there and listen to her stories over and over. She treated very famous people, but didn't care about who they were. But I said, I'm never going to be doing that type of work, you know? So here I am playing football in college, which was paying for my school. And I was a fullback. So, I went out for passes once in a while. So I went out for a screen pass, which is laterally out to the side. And it was a bad pass. So I jumped up in the air, grabbed the pass with my great athletic ability. I got plastered by a linebacker in the middle of the air. He came, that looked like it hurt, but what hurt was him landing on top of me. My back was kind of flexed on the impact. The weight was kind of distributed incorrectly as he landed on me. And I was paralyzed instantaneously on the field. So I used to make fun of everyone in the training room. Matter of fact, about 30 minutes before, I made fun of everyone getting their ankles wrapped. And here I am sitting there in a uniform. I can't even wiggle my toes. I don't feel any pain. And a ambulance came to the field on those days and spinal rolled me and took me away to the hospital.
Wow.
In the hospital, 3 disc herniations. Massive ones. When I say massive, we're at 15 millimeters, 17 millimeters, and a 5. So the surgeons there said, you have to have surgery. There's just no way of getting around this. The good thing is my mom is a hard-headed old German lady that believes that the body heals itself, you know? So she kind of had the same. So she started having this little argument with them, saying there's got to be something else to do. Chief of surgery came rolling in and said, let's put him on an observation for the night. So in the middle of the night, of course, my mom's praying over me and we're crying and all this stuff. And my toes start to wiggle, which is a good thing, right? And then I was able to wiggle my feet a little bit. So they decided hey, let's see if physical therapy will work. So we tried that for a little bit and it got me to crutches, you know? So I'm sitting there on crutches, a couple weeks later, watching my teammates play, getting ready for surgery now because this wasn't working well. And a little man came up and he said, hey, I know what happened to you. I saw what happened to you. I'm a chiropractor. and I believe I can help you. And I looked at him and I said, my mom told me not to go to guys like you. And he goes, well, you have nothing to lose. You have all to gain. Why don't you give it a try? Made a lot of sense, didn't it? So I said, let's go. And he actually took me in his car to his office and literally did his Chiro analysis, put me in side posture, and made his first adjustment. And I'm going to tell you, I was scared, right? Made a big noise, but I got off that table without crutches, and I never used them again. 3 weeks later, I was sprinting. 3 months later, I was released from care. I had to promise my mom that I would prove that my back was better. So I signed up for the Palos Verdes Marathon, which was the hardest in California at one time, and ran it with a bunch of soccer buddies of mine. And in 3 hours and 35 minutes, which is very fast back for a guy back then. So guess what? This chiropractic profession found me, and I am so honored to be part of this tapestry, as you call it. I love that.
Yeah, the really inspiring thing there is care has no bounds, and the guy saw you, he came and seeked you, and then he delivered you and restored you, and that's really cool to see that narrative, because I think a lot of times chiropractic gets into people's lives because of necessity, but also because chiropractors are such a passionate group of people that they want to serve and they want to see if they can help people. And we know that it works. And that's just it. I think Sid Williams would say, he'd drop his keys at the assembly at Life College and he'd say, chiropractic's like gravity. It works whether you believe it or not. And it's one of those truisms with the chiropractic adjustment is the chiropractic adjustment is something that can just change somebody's life in an instant. And guess what? No more crutches.
That's right. Right. Yeah. And made believers out of a lot of people that said I wasn't going to be able to walk and run. I had the surgeon said that you shouldn't be playing football, son. And I was like, I'm going to keep that in my mind, and I'm going to get better. And I brought my little marathon medal to show him that, we succeeded. So I'm very happy today.
Really cool.
And so now that you're a chiropractor, what are some things that maybe you're doing that set you apart from other chiropractors, or what makes you different or unique?
That's a good question. I have a lot of different things that we use differently. Like when I travel with teams, like I was in Saudi Arabia last week, and everybody gets adjusted. The entire if you don't get adjusted, you're not part of my culture, and I'm not even going to look at you. So they're getting adjusted in the locker room before they go out and play. Sometimes at halftime, and definitely for recovery. So as a sports doctor on the field, I'm not waiting for a subluxation, or I'm not waiting for a dislocation, which happens, said a lot of fingers lately. But what I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for the patient to say, hey, I need to get optimal performance out of my body. I need to free the nervous system up for more power, strength, and reflex. And that sets me different as far as the sports world, because a lot of them are waiting for injury. I believe in prevention, so the athlete can work at his best and prevent injury from happening.
So let's talk about some of these teams that you've actually worked with. I know that the list is it's cool to see for me, because I feel like you have the opportunity, like I mentioned off camera, to be what every chiropractor wants to be, is somebody that works with athletes and sports teams. Maybe not all of them, but I've heard the story quite a bit that it would be awesome to work with professional athletes. So what is that like for you? And who are some of these teams you've worked with? That's
cool. Well, at the very beginning, like I was a personal trainer while I was going to chiropractic school, and it was a Spectrum Club right over here in Manhattan Beach, and I met a couple. I recognized some of the guys I used to play with. I'm like, hey man, this guy named Mike Jones. I go, what are you working out in this gym for by yourself? And he goes, I don't know. He didn't have strength conditioning coach back in those days. This is like the mid 90s, So I told him I was a chiropractor, invited him in, and next thing you know, I'm working on all the Los Angeles Raiders, like all their defensive backs. It was awesome. Matter of fact, on Thursdays, I'd go to the field and I would work on a couple guys there, and I'd close the office down and just work on the Raiders at that time. So unfortunately, the Raiders were moved to Oakland right at the time when I started working with them. So I started working with volleyball players and water polo players like the AVP. I work on a lot of AVP guys, even at my house every day, which, right after I'm done here, I'm going to do that. I work with the United States Olympic Committee too, like on the beach side. So we have beach sports. And so I'm the general chiropractor for that. I was in Doha, Qatar, right before COVID. I think that's where we brought COVID over here, actually, I think at that time. So, so just a wide variety. I work on MLB guys, and it's just a fun thing. But I with that said, I still love working on my local community and my people here. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think that's really a nice way to look at it, because being a chiropractor, it's an honorable position to hold, and your family's going to listen to this, your patients are going to listen to this, the other chiropractors are going to listen to this, and they're going to really see a snapshot of you because of the way that we're responding to the conversation today. And I think that's just really the best part of what we do here, is we get a chance to share your story with other people. And working with sports teams, that's pretty cool. And I mean, that's going to be my tagline for the opener. Like, and it's just fun for me. But you talk about health, you talk about helping others. What are you doing at home? What are you doing for your family? How are you taking care of yourself?
I believe definitely in routines. I think that someone once said that you're a sum total of every routine that you have done so far. Okay, either bad or good, right? So the more good routines you can put into your lifestyle, and I get adjusted every week, sometimes twice a week. I've also, I take vitamins on a regular basis. I juice certain times during the week. And I'm out like doing 5 miles every morning in the dark. And am I in the greatest shape of my life? No, but I'm working on it, and health is definitely work, and I got a ways to go. And the way I actually teach my kids is by example. And my son is also going to be a chiropractor. He's graduating from Pepperdine University in sports med, which is a very tough program. But he's so excited to be a chiropractor. Yeah.
Just curious, where's that school?
It's in Malibu.
Oh, cool.
Right. Hey, number one in the nation in golf right now. So, hey, we got to hold something here.
Sounds like a rough place to have to study.
Right.
Well, Jim's a golfer now, so that should work out.
All right. Very good.
I won't get into that story.
So I don't know if you guys know, I mean, Terry Schroeder is a chiropractor, 4th generation chiro.
Wow.
And the reason my son went there is because he was going to be his water polo coach. And he loved him. He's like, man, I'm going there. I trust only the chiropractor guys, So he went there to go play water polo, and they finished number 3 in the nation last year.
Wow. What a big accomplishment.
Yeah, it's cool.
So earlier you mentioned how much you enjoy connecting with your community, but what are some of your favorite ways to stay connected with them?
I have a lot of law enforcement that comes in, and they always have different things going on, and a lot of tragedies happening. So we support all their charities. Like we did a march. Our office did a march with the local police department the other day, just to support them. And it ended at where an officer was actually killed on his motorcycle. So it was a really nice memorial for everybody. We support also, we get our wellness patients sick. We have over 1,000 wellness patients that support a group called World Vision. And basically 20% of what we collect, not proceeds, go overseas to help kids drink water. Okay. And I mean, literally survive. And I had to go over there and see the process first before I was fully committed into that. So that's one way we help our community, and also our world community, where the world needs help too as well.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle. Philanthropy is huge, man. Congratulations for giving back to things that matter. And local community is big. And yeah, the world, we don't need to mention, but the world's under all these little micro stressors on everybody. I couldn't even imagine what it's like to live under the stress of being a law enforcement in these current times. So cool thing to see you staying connected and taking care of people. Especially those that protect us.
Yeah, right on.
And then we roll into like a real question. I kind of want to two-part this with you. I want to ask you where the profession's going, but I also want to follow up with if you were the last chiropractor, would the profession survive type question. So let's jump into the first part and say, where do you see the profession going in the next 20 years?
Well, it's a really good question. I don't think I would support my son getting into this profession, possibly my daughter as well, if I didn't see this profession going in the right direction. Okay. So I'm looking at the waves right now. And if you're in the water and you're waiting for a really good set to come in, I believe it's coming in right now. I believe people in the world, and especially in America, their eyes are now opening up going, oh my God, like, there's something different between innate intelligence and drugs. They're actually learning about how to get healthy and stay that way. And I believe that they're looking for people like us, chiropractors, who have been in this forever, to come out and tell the community that we need to stay healthy and get our nervous system completely stress-free, because that's how you truly get healthy. And people are now starting to hear that. So I believe we're in a wave of a nice wave. And if we ride it the right way and we don't fight against each other, we are going to go so far. We'll be on top again.
Yeah, it's good advice.
And to follow up with that, would the profession survive if you were the last chiropractor?
Oh, geez, man, this is like a doomsday, huh? Wasn't that a Twilight Zone episode? You know,
I don't know.
Let's pretend it is.
Okay. Well, there's still people here that we got to treat. Okay, so I would make chiropractors of everybody that I'd actually talk to. I mean, this is a contact sport. You know, the more people we talk to, the more influence we're going to get on what true health really is. You know, so the chiropractors that I'm developing right now, they were students or patients, and now they're in chiropractic school coming out, and they're going to work in our new offices that we're building. Yeah. Fantastic. So we need to, I'm in a jacuzzi. I believe, scripturally too, when you have the Holy Spirit in you, you're just going to tell everybody. When you have chiropractic burning inside you, you're going to be like telling everybody. You're going to be in a jacuzzi in Maui telling everybody about what you do and how you do it. And why are you not in chiropractic right now? Where do you live? Let me get you hooked up. And that's a true story. My colleagues that are going to watch this know that's what we do.
That's what Jim does.
Right on, Jim. Right on. We got jacuzzi together.
Yeah, I tell everybody about the power of chiropractic. And yeah, people are needlessly walking around not feeling right. And they just don't know what to do. And they think that there's something that's going to save them, or some magic potion, lotion, or pill is going to like make them better. But really it's chiropractic.
It's like, it is. It's the intelligence that runs this world. This innate intelligence universal innate intelligence that runs this world, and people understand it. If they understand it, they're going to make it part of their lifestyle. And that's the trick to everything. Yeah, because everyone wants to know, what's the secret sauce? Why are you doing so well? And it's like teach people what we do and what we don't do. Mm-hmm. That's it, and then you will grow.
And the other side of the conversation is, I've heard this said a few times, and I've repeated it But if we don't tell people the truth about chiropractic, someone else will close them for drugs or surgery.
Absolutely.
And we have to stand in that light and say, you know what? There are solutions. Let's do least invasive first. Let's keep you healthy and mobile. Like you said, it's not waiting for a reactionary injury with the athletes. It's about maintenance adjustments and keeping them full level mobility and full human performance.
Right.
And I think that narrative is still true for the mom and pop at home and for the developing kid and for the college athlete. Like making sure that everybody has access to a chiropractor is something that's essential. And most people just don't know that. They think that chiropractors are for injuries or for pain. And they don't know that chiropractors tune up nervous systems and help with immune systems and help with performance. Those are narratives that most people have to go down a long path to understand about chiropractic. They have to meet a passionate, philosophically sound chiropractor to get that information from them, to know that this helps with all these other things, not just what they've been told by I call it the neighbors, cousins, brothers, mothers message of chiropractors do this or they don't do that, or they'll do this to you or they won't do that to you. And I really believe that everybody just has to meet a good chiropractor and go get checked and adjusted as necessary from cradle to grave or from womb to tomb. And I think that that's the way that it should go. And people just have to be influenced the right way. And you can't, impassionately educate somebody so much that it turns them off, but you have to just let them know, like, hey, you have nothing to lose but your health. And,
that's right.
It could be the one thing that changes you and the rest of your family's life forever.
Right. Yeah.
And so that kind of leads us into our next question. Whether this is true or just hypothetical, pretend you had a fellow chiropractor buddy of yours who is struggling to get new patients in his door. What advice would you give them?
First, I always say identify who you're looking for. Like, are you looking for the athlete? Are you looking for between 40 and 30-year-old? You have to identify your demographic first, and then you have to go there. Like I said, it's a contact sport. And then how do you go there today? I mean, I used to set up on the beach because I wanted every beach volleyball player to know who I was. I would set tents up every weekend and have my table out there. And that's how I met a lot of the volleyball players until they're my good friends even today. So that's what I sought out. Now, with that said, I didn't understand they didn't have any money, So I'm working with some chiros some athletes that didn't have the finances, which is fine. We made it work for them. But if you're looking today and people are on Facebook, that's a no-brainer. Go on Facebook, right? Go into digital marketing, get your website ready to take in the patients because everyone's on their phone. And that's where you're going to find a lot of people. So we've been doing a pretty good job there. We consistently see between 120, 150 new patients a month at our practice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, I'm going to tell you one thing, though. Mm-hmm. Jim Sigafus taught me how to do a orientation. And it's called an orientation, not a spinal care class or whatever, right? And that talk on what chiropractic is, because during the report of findings, which we probably all do, there is a 20-minute time where we can teach them about chiropractic, but were you listening? That's the question. Were you listening? So once you get them to the next level and you have them in an orientation with their spouse, that comes out in like 3-dimensionally. And it's amazing how patients will go from this simple relief care and to go, look, I got to correct this. Let's do corrective care. And they do that. They do that every time. So I believe the orientation is really, really important. And I wasn't doing it for years and years. And I started doing it over the last 15 years now.
So as you've been on this journey to be the chiropractor who you are today, who have been some of your heroes or inspirations? Like, who have you aspired to be like?
There's a couple different levels on that. Of course, my dad, who was the most committed person on the earth, had one girlfriend, had one job, and he just committed himself to what he believed in. And I think that's very important to who we are. Jim Sigafus, who took me aside and said, you stay with me for a while. I understand you know how to do business practice, but He taught me some deep philosophy. A gentleman named David Katz, who taught me pretty much everything that. I mean, it was like elementary school to high school with him. He just taught me so much. And Ben Lerner, who you guys probably all know, he's in my ear at least 2 to 3 times a month, just telling me to shape up, literally. And I love that. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs somebody speaking into them. If you don't have one, get one. It's important. Or a group of masterminds that, like you guys, just sit together and feed off each other. Right.
Well, if you had an opportunity to have lunch with any person from history, who would you pick?
I think one of the funniest guys on earth is, no, I'm not going to say that. I would say Jim Sigafus again. I was going to say Robin Williams, but this is a chiropractic show.
You can pick anybody, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Jim Sigafus, I never got to say goodbye, And man, it seems like every time I sat with him, even though I thought I knew everything about philosophy of chiropractic, because Carl Cleveland II actually taught me, and I'm like, I didn't know anything. I mean, when I would sit with him, I would just be, oh my God, I didn't know that at all. Right in front of me, I have a little sign. It says, "I'm still learning" by Michelangelo. I mean, my head gets so hard that I think I know everything, and really I don't know anything when you open your mind up.
Okay, I'll do you one better. Okay, lunch with Jim Sigafus and Robin Williams.
Man, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
That'd be like a
then we could
sitcom.
use Robin Williams to get off the drugs. You know what I mean? Like the depressant. That's what freaking got him, I mean,
it's true.
You look at, I'm telling you, man, he was an amazing soul. Yeah.
So, as we start to wind down a little bit, why don't you tell us about maybe the most impactful case or a miracle story that you've seen happen in your office?
All right. So miracles are happening every day in the office, right? I mean, every day. This is a seriously really, really good one. I even have him on my YouTube channel. His name, we'll just call him Mike, because that is his first name. Mike was just entering his 70s, and man's man. He made his own house up in the mountains in Idlewild over here with his bare hands. No joke. He lived on a boat over here in Redondo Beach, married to a nurse, head usher at our church, right? And he's a roofer. So I'd have him do roof jobs at different buildings and stuff. And one day I was at home like this, and I get this knock on my door, and I go over to the door, and it's Mike. And Mike's sitting there with oxygen tanks. Like he's holding oxygen. He had like the cannulas in his nose. And he's like, "Hey, Brad, he's really pale." I go, "Mike, thanks for the bill, but what's going on?" And he said, "Well, I'm dying." I go, "What are you dying of? Come on in the living room." I drew him the circles of chiropractic health, and I showed him this is what we do for health and blah, blah, blah. And he said that his lungs were not regenerating. His tissues were not regenerating. So I go, "Oh, it's like emphysema." And he goes, "Kind of like that, but it's not. The doctors don't know." For a decade, he was traveling around the world, with the U.S. to find out what the cure was, and no one could cure him. And it was even on the lung transplant list. And he said, "I'm probably not going to get it because I'm too old," and probably pretty much agreed with that, In my living room, those little things where you test your oxygen, like you put on your finger. We use them all the time now with COVID. He put his blood oxygen was 78. And I didn't know you could do that. I thought that was cool, And I said, "Hey, why don't you come in the office tomorrow and let's see if we can even help you, Let's just see if we can help." So he's first thing in the office, didn't even listen to when he was scheduled. He was just first thing in the morning in there. And we took some x-rays of his neck and upper back. And, he had really terrible subluxation in his lower cervical spine, upper thoracic spine, and also C1 and 2. And I told him, this degeneration's at a level, we call it like stage 2, 3 degeneration. It's pretty well advanced. It's been here for at least a couple of decades. And I told him, let's just work hard on chiropractic and see if we can release that nervous system up so we can regenerate the tissues in your lungs again. He had no pain, by the way, 0 pain. And he goes, "That sounds like that could work." So I'm like, all right, we got a champion. And I told him, then we're going to do some soft tissue work on you, and we're going to change your diet around. And he goes, well, wait a minute. The doctors gave me 1 year to live. This is what he said, 1 year to live. If I am not going to change my diet around, and I like to eat tacos and enchiladas and stuff, so you can't take that away from me. And I said, okay. And he goes, and I don't want to have a massage because I know that doesn't work. And I'm like, all right, sounds good to me. And my associate that's been with me for 17 years, I looked at him and we're going to see if chiropractic can really heal, lung tissue, like the autonomics. We're going to see if it really works. So we started working 30-day. We do our progress exam. We take a look at him, and his blood oxygen was the best. He put his finger in the little meter again. It's at 84%. He starts to cry. And he said, it's the first time ever my blood oxygen went the other way. And I'm bewildered. I'm like, wow. I mean, it's shocking me, right? And so we went. In 90 days, we did his blood oxygen again. It went to 96%. And long story short, he went way past that year of living. 6 years later, his pulmonary specialist said, don't come back here anymore. Your lung tissue has regenerated, and you can go ahead and live a normal life, okay? He did take that too far. He stopped a lot of stuff. When a doctor says you're free to go, that doesn't mean you're free to go back to your old habits. And he did, of course, right? That's what we do. Yeah, so great chiropractic story. It changed my life, and everybody in our office, it changed their life too. His name was Mike.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Well, as we start to wind down with this episode, Dr. Brad, do you have any social media links or websites or resources where people can learn more about you and what you're doing?
My Instagram is the Sports Doctor. So you can just contact me there. We have a Facebook page and all that stuff. So I'm pretty good with getting in contact. We are looking for two things. I'm looking for good hearts first, and then good hands, right? If you're in chiropractic school and you do not know how to use these things, you better get to learn how to use them. Don't get out of chiropractic school without learning how to master as much as you can the art of chiropractic. And you better be digging in philosophy all the time. The science comes to you. You can't get away from that. But you need to get this art down. If you do have a good heart, and you know it, you want to save lives, then get a hold of me and we'll plug you in an office somewhere.
And is there anything that you wanted to discuss or talk about that we didn't have a chance to ask you?
No, I always want to encourage people. I see a lot of chiropractors working their tails off, and they can't, one of my great, his name is Michael Rockmore. He's been in practice for 38 years now. And he's one of my teammates, man. And I met him. He goes, I haven't taken a vacation for like 15 years. I go, come aboard and you can vacation like whenever you want. We're going to cover you. And he goes, really? And I go, yep. You're going to have insurance and you're going to have good pay, and don't worry about it, man. And I got to tell you, like, if you could put systems together in a good way, you don't have to work that much. I work 8 hours on patients a week, and I train my team for 4 hours, and that's it. But I don't sit here in my desk here at home and do nothing. I do plan for, our vision and where we're heading. So I want to encourage chiropractors that if you get good management systems in place with good philosophy, you can take as much vacation time as you want. Yeah. So, and if you have questions about that, let me know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Brad, thank you for being our guest today on episode 294 of Chiro Hustle. I think this was a really powerful episode that people will like.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Jim.
Dr. Brad, thank you for being our guest today, and I look forward to staying in touch with you and seeing how we can help each other in the future.
Totally. I'm here all the time for you guys.
All right.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right.
Talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.